Good morning, everyone. Annette here, also known as Grandma D. I am so glad that you're back today. We are here for another video where we are going to talk more about becoming debt-free and having financial freedom in your life. Um, we have a lot to cover today. I'm going to try and keep this down to 30 minutes, but no guarantees because I got a lot of notes here and I don't know what's going to happen. I have my notebook here, so if I look down, I'm following along with what I have written here in my notebook. I don't want to forget a thing. I want to make sure that you have all the facts that I have because becoming debt-free is a journey. Whether you become completely debt free or whether you take the journey and you get close and you reach a point where you're comfortable and you're satisfied, that's fine too. I mean, don't think that the ultimate goal is to be totally debt free because that probably will not happen. You will always have some kind of expense, some kind of debt in your life, so that's fine. Our goal here is financial freedom, to be able to take that trip or go spend that time with your family or take your entire family out to dinner for a special event or help participate financially in one of your children's, grandchildren's, nieces, nephews' weddings. There is so much out there that needs to be taken care of. And if we are financially free, we are in a position where we can do that. So, with that said, today, our topics for financial freedom are going to be how to start saving money, how to start putting money away towards your retirement, towards your future. And don't be scared by that. Okay? It's okay. Don't be scared by that. When you talk to someone about retirement, they immediately think they have to start putting thousands of dollars away and they're not going to have any money left over. And everything is going to be so cut back. So, don't feel that way. Okay. My journey for financial freedom started when I was in my early 30s. Before I married my husband, he knew what my financial situation was like. And Mike was very good with money. And he taught me a lot. And we'll talk about how he helped me get started down this path. And you're going to be like, I can do that. The unicorns and rainbows are going to come out. So let's get started. Now we are post-Christmas. Today is Monday, December 29th. As this video is uploaded and available for the first time for viewing, we are approximately 3 weeks post our last video. And in our last video, we talked about how to cut back on spending. So with all that money that you've saved, cutting back with all those ideas that I gave you in the last video, now we're going to look at how we can start putting that money to good use. Okay. And you need to remember that this is a journey. Okay. So in our first video, we started out the journey talking about how do I get started? Where do I even begin? We talked about the list. We talked about giving yourself an allowance. We talked about taking a hard look at your spending. That's a basic step one. And step two, in the second video, again, we talked about how to start cutting back on your spending, diving deeper into the things that are good places, as I said before, where money is hiding. Money's a stinker, and it will hide from you if it can. So with that said, we're going to look forward towards the new calendar year, 2025. We have a clean slate, brand new horizon, an entire year ahead of us. So pull out your list of all your debts, dust it off if you haven't looked at it in a while, and grab a pencil and paper, and let's talk a little bit about retirement savings. Okay. Now, there are several avenues that you can take towards retirement savings accounts. Okay. And it can be as small as a few dollars in a savings account to start, or as big as if you have some money set aside in the bank, or if you got an inheritance, or if you just sold a big ticket item and you might be able to squeak out a couple $1,000 starting a CD or an annuity or something along those lines, but we'll get into that. Okay. The first thing I want to say is you need to start small and sooner than later. I did not start my retirement journey for savings until I was in my early 40s. I was super late. So my investment portfolio looks different than yours may, depending on where you are in your life and your age. If you're over 40, I say you better start now. Don't wait another second when you get your next check. Okay. If you're in your 20s, you can start very small, and your investment over the long term will be much smaller than someone my age or older. And you'll wind up in the same place, and you won't have to spend so much so fast to get there. Okay. Now, some things that you can do is talk to your employer. If you're working, talk to your employer, see if they have any type of retirement savings accounts. And that could look like an IRA, that could look like a 401k, that could look like an annuity program, that could look like some kind of a savings that they have. Like they have healthcare savings accounts. Those are not retirements, but those are savings accounts for your healthcare. So like if you don't have insurance, or if you have insurance, it's not very good. Like we talked about in my previous video where I said we were going to discuss insurances and what you can do to save money there. That's a whole nother avenue. Okay. I felt that this was more prudent at this time than going into insurances, because I feel that retirement is something we all need to be mindful about, because let's face it, let's be real, Social Security is not going to be around forever. Not going to be there. There's going to come a day when Social Security is going to start really having a problem. And if that happens and you don't have another avenue in place for savings, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to be living in your kids' back room because you're not going to have any money. And we don't want that to happen. So talk to your employer, see what they have, and see what they offer, what's available. And if you're not working, you can go to your financial institution and talk to them a little bit and see what they offer. And banks typically have CDs. They do offer other types of savings plans for retirement. You can talk to them and see what they have. And a CD is a great place to start. It's a jumping off point. A CD is not a long-term goal for retirement. They're not that kind of a vehicle for your money. But I had CDs at the beginning, i.e. my husband, Mike, that we talked about before. That was his idea. And I put money away in a CD over like 5 years. I was socking money into the CD. And then when it matured, it was mature and it was just sitting there. My whole septic system took a dump. And literally, I had to replace it and get a raised septic system with a new pump. And oh my goodness, I cashed in that CD. I didn't have to have a loan. So you want to keep that in mind too. There are often financial planners who, like Edward Jones, Fidelity Investments, there's probably local people near you, local smaller investment firms. And they quite often will let you come in and have a free consultation with them, and they'll take a snapshot of where you're at, what your retirement might look like, and give you ideas on what to do. And then if you so choose to use them as your vehicle to help set up an IRA or a 401k, they can certainly do that. Because if your company does not offer those services, that's what these people are for. Okay. So, and I personally, I went to an Edward Jones advisor in a town near me, Petoskey, Michigan. And I talked to the gentleman a couple of times. He was a huge help. He set me all up. I took all my stuff in. He typed it all in, what I had for numbers that came up on the screen. And he showed me in a graph where my finances would be in 20 years, 30 years with what I had at that moment. So that is a great tool to utilize. Okay. So then when you do that, you may come away like overwhelmed, and you may need to take a few days and look at what he gave you, make some choices, think about, look at your finances, look at your paychecks, and see what you think you might be able to do. Okay. Or you may come away just raring to go, and you may have set up your IRA while you were in there, and or your 401k, and you're off to the races. It's hard to say, but that's a good starting point. Okay. So then people often think, I cannot afford a retirement account. I cannot afford a retirement plan. But the sooner you start, the less you need to add monthly to that retirement plan. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're in your 20s or your early 30s, you can probably invest like 5 or 10% of your paycheck and you wouldn't even miss it. That would be like an evening out on the town on a Friday night. And you invested that into a retirement account and stay home that Friday night. That's going to pay off so much in the long run. Investing in a retirement is not as daunting as you think. Okay. So there are many ways that you can start saving for your future. And we are going to look at several avenues or vehicles, as they call them, for your money to have an investment. Now, we're going to kind of build on these as we go along. So the first thing we're going to talk a little bit about is a CD. That's called a certificate of deposit, CD. And a certificate of deposit is for the short term. They're not intended to be a long-term vehicle for your money. They typically have like a 3, 5, 7, 10-year span where the money you put in is locked in for that period of time. And it earns not a huge investment on your return, but it will give you a little something. It might be 3%. It might be 5%, whatever the market will support for the CD at that time when you get them. That's the interest that you will earn on it. And then when it matures, you just pull it all out. And you can either reinvest it and start over, or you can pull it out and put it somewhere else or whatever, you know. And typically a CD you can do from a couple $1,000s or a few $100s up to $10,000. I mean, depending on what you can afford to put into that CD. And as I said, they do have a low interest rate, but they're very low risk as well. You know, if you want something secure, because this money is something that you may never see again, the kind of money that you're looking at investing, if it's an inheritance. And, you know, a CD is a good place to start. So there is that. And as I said, the funds are locked in for a specific term. So when it's in, it's in. You know, you can't go pull it out 2 weeks from now because your car broke down. It doesn't work that way. So you got to keep that in mind as well. With that said, one side note, that is why it's very important to not put all your eggs in one basket. If you are investing over the long term for your life, you want to have multiple avenues of money. Okay. I have a simple IRA. I have a traditional and a Roth. I have 3 types of IRAs. I have an annuity. I have my savings account. I mean, because you never know what the market's going to do. And depending on the level of risk of the investment that you choose, you know, you're taking that into account as well. Okay. So now the second thing that we're going to talk about is the IRA, or an individual retirement account. There are three basic types of IRAs, individual retirement accounts. Okay. So the traditional IRA is pre-tax going in, taxed coming out. Okay. The Roth IRA is taxed going in and non-tax coming out. So that's something to consider, and you may want to talk to a financial advisor to see if the traditional or the Roth is better for you. I have both because of where I work. I am enabled to have those types, and my work takes it out of my paycheck, and then they match a certain percentage. That's the golden ticket right there. And I'll explain that in a few minutes. And then we also have the simple IRA, which is set up by your employer and contributions are matched. Now, they can be matched dollar for dollar, or they can be matched up to a certain percentage. Like, say, if you put in 10%, your company may put in 7% or 5% or 3%, whatever they so choose. But that's the match. Okay. Now, so the IRA is a really great avenue for investment. And because I started so late, my total investments into my retirement are up to 35% of my paycheck. But I'm in a position where I've set myself up to be able to afford that. And that has taken me like almost 20 years to get there. That didn't happen at the beginning. I was at like 5% back in the beginning. I only had one. I started out with the traditional. As I pay off my debt, I can add to that percentage that's coming out of my check, and I don't miss it because it was coming out before and it's coming out now. Things are the same for me as I go along. So you got to keep that in mind too. So now we've talked about a little bit about a CD, which is through your bank or credit union, your financial institution. They're a certificate of deposit. We've talked about briefly about the three types of IRAs, individual retirement accounts, traditional Roth, and a simple IRA. And then the next thing is a 401k, retirement savings plan. Now, the 401k is named after the tax code that it was created through. That's interesting. I did not know that before. I looked it up the other day because I'm like, what does 401k actually stand for? I mean, everybody talks about it, but nobody really knows what 401k means. It's an employer-sponsored retirement savings plan, and employers can match up to a certain amount in a 401k. It's just a different vehicle from the IRA. And you may want to talk to your financial advisor to find out which is better for you. Okay. But the 401k is widely popular. A lot of people use it. I personally don't have it. I don't know what the advantages are to that over an IRA. But you could certainly look at that because, as I said before, I am not a financial advisor. I don't have any financial experience other than what I know. I don't have any degrees or anything, only what I've learned. So the last thing that I want to talk to you about in the financial savings realm for retirement is an annuity. Now, an annuity is a written contract between you and a life insurance company. You can invest a lump sum of money, or you can make payments over time into an annuity. An annuity is a very safe avenue, depending on if you have a fixed annuity or a variable. The variables, my understanding is that they're more driven by the market, so they can become more volatile if the market starts getting crazy. But I have a fixed annuity, so it's very safe, very secure. I'm very happy with my return on my investment. And the nice thing about an annuity is they set up time frame when you're not allowed to take any money out. But after that, you can draw money from your annuity and just pay tax on it when you draw it out, and then the deal is done. You can do that. You don't have to pay it back. It's your money. So I've done that one time. I drew some money out of an annuity. I paid a high amount of federal taxes of my choosing because I wanted to make sure that I would be covered at tax time. And then I took that money and did something with it that was important that I needed to do. So you have that as well. So with that, you have to ask yourself one very big, important question. How much can I afford to invest? How much can I afford to take out of a paycheck and invest something towards retirement? And only you can make that decision. I can't make it. Your mom and dad can't make it. Your cousin can't make it. Your boss can't make it. It's you. Okay. But my advice, as I said before, is to start very small and work up as soon as possible. Start small. Okay. If you only have less than $50 that you could afford, $20 out of a paycheck, you can talk to your bank about a CD and see what the minimum CD is that you can invest in. And can you make payments into that CD? Okay. Or you can start doing an auto draft from your paycheck each week into a separate savings account. And like $20 out of your check, pop it into the savings account and try not to look at it, not to use it, and let it sit there until it becomes enough that you can roll it into a CD or some other type of investment. Okay. Even $5 or $10 is a start, because that's where I was when my husband first started helping me. I was doing like $25 a month, because I got paid once a month at that time. I was putting that into a savings account. And after a year, I had a little bit of money in there. I was pretty happy. It was the first time in my whole adult life I had money in a savings account that I could potentially invest in something else. That was pretty exciting. Okay. So, and if your job offers an IRA or a 401k, as I said, look into it, talk to them, go to the HR people and ask them about it and see what they say. It's nothing more than a conversation. There's no commitment by you until you sign on the dotted line. And the nice thing is, if you have, like, say, an IRA like I do, and you say, okay, I'm an all in, I'm going to go 15%. And then 6 months down the road, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of money. I'm going to have to pull back a little bit. You can pull back and change your dollar amount in your IRA and go down to 10% or 8% or 7% or whatever you can afford. And then bump it back up later when you can afford that. That's a doable option. So, as an example, okay, if you make $500 a week, okay, and you say, I want to invest 7% in my IRA, that's $35. It's only $35, okay? And if your work matches that, they could match, say as an example, 5%. So if your investment is $35 out of your paycheck and the company invests 3 to 5%, they take that $35, that's your investment, into your retirement account, and they calculate 3% of that or 5% of that or whatever their contribution would be, and they add that to your $35. So your $35 could turn into as much as $40 or a little more, depending on what their investment matching contribution is. And that's earning interest. Okay? It's earning interest. So it adds up really quickly. Okay? It adds up really quickly. And you're going to find that in 5 years, you're going to turn around and go, wow, I got a nice nest egg in there. That's exciting, because you're going to need that when you retire. You're going to need it. Social Security, if it's even around anymore, it's not going to be what it is today. Okay? And they're making us retire later and later to get our full retirement, to get our full Social Security check. Okay? So, my advice in finality is to start with the minimum, work your way up, and as you pay off your bills. As you pay off your car, you might be able to afford to put 2% more or even 1% more into your IRA, or add to your annuity if that's possible, or start a new CD or anything like that. Okay. And so you want to consider all of those avenues as you consider what you're going to do for your retirement. So we're going to recap here everything that we have gone over today. The first thing is the CD, Certificate of Deposit. The second thing is your IRA, which is a traditional, a Roth, or a simple IRA. The next thing is a 401k savings investment plan. And the last thing is an annuity. Okay, so all of these are different, and it can be a little complicated, but the beauty of Google can help you get a handle on it before you call an investment firm and say, can I have a consultation? I want to see where I'm at. I want to start thinking about retirement. In your business that you work for, they may even have something like that. They may even have people that you can talk to, and you might not have to go outside of the company for that. That's a question to ask your HR people. Okay, so that is pretty much it for today. That's a lot to chew on, and it's a lot to think about. I think I have pretty much covered everything I had here in my notes. So I'm hoping that next time we get together in mid-January, we will talk a little more about insurances. Maybe we'll talk about car payments and different things like that. But I'd like to know where you're at in your journey. I would like to know if you're following along, if you're working towards investing in your financial future, and what you're doing to do that. I would love to hear if you're finding this interesting and helpful. So with that said, I hope you have a wonderful new year, and I'm very much looking forward to 2025 and continuing to share my journey towards financial freedom, or close to it, and being debt-free, or close to it. So this is Grandma D saying I hope you have a great day today and a better day tomorrow. And know that I think about you, I love you, I care about you, and I hope you're well. So that's all we have for today, and we'll talk soon. You have a wonderful day and a happy new year. Bye-bye for now.